Wednesday nights,
yeah,
Keith
so
Meyer, NBW.
yeah, I took over from Keith Meyer, and at the time, I probably shouldn't have been teaching. You know, I was only 4 years in.
Oh wow!
But I was still I was still the most experienced person there. So if I hadn't have taken the role, then someone else less experienced probably would have taken it. Okay, so over the next few years, I kind of grew as a teacher. The more I was teaching, you know.
Okay.
But and then me and NBW like split, and the school carried on, but then it had no identity, you know. So I hooked up with my friend Chris from Northampton, and over the next few years, it was under the Slam wrestling banner for a couple of years. And then after a bit, I kind of thought to myself that I could do this by myself, you know. So I kind of broke away from everyone, made the school a full-time school, but we needed a name, you know. So obviously I'm the Heavyweight House of Pain, so you know, it became the House of Pain Wrestling Academy, you know, and that was at the beginning of 2010. So 10 years later, you know, like it was right then as well, I signed on as a self-employed wrestling teacher, you know. So 10 years on, you know, the school's still going very strong, you know, and well, current circumstances not included. Still going very strong. I'm still having an absolute blast, you know, with the teaching. So that's like a compact history lesson on the school.
That's great to hear, because there's a few people. It's something I say in wrestling quite a lot, and we said it just beforehand. Like, no matter who you talk to, after a while, when you bring up professional wrestling, everyone gets interested. Now, I've had it on the football tours, like Premier League winners will talk to me about wrestling. When I'm doing boxing, there's a boxer who helps out at the boxing called Tiger, who is desperate to come down to the House of Pain. And he keeps saying to me, yeah, I've said to him, go down, but he wants me to come down and be his manager as well. And I'm like,
hey, nah. You're always welcome, Rob. You're always welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure my, I don't know if I've got a manager in me, to be honest with you, but
I think you do.
Do you?
I think you do. I think you do.
What?
You know why? Okay,
why?
Because when you were the ring announcer for Southside, okay, a lot of the fans gave you, you know, a bit of stick, didn't they?
Oh, there's an understatement, yeah.
Yeah, especially at first, because you took over from Dale Mills,
yes,
you know, who was a big favorite. It was like the original, okay. So you became almost like the replacement, okay. And although you grew into the role, okay, it was almost like their favorite band getting a different front man.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And full disclosure, I was rubbish when I took over. Like, I grew into that role. I was rubbish.
But as a wrestling personality, okay, all you have to do is take from your real life experiences, okay? And I think if you admit it, there is some real venom down there for wrestling fans because of the way they treated you originally, okay? And that is what you'd bring out in your heel character. And that's why I think you could actually be a very good heel manager, because you're obviously confident on the mic, okay? And that is something that even a lot of wrestlers never get, you know? You get put with the right person, okay? And that's a match, that's a very good match-winning team right there.
You see what's happening here, right? I retired from wrestling November last Outside show, right? And now with COVID, I've interviewed Joseph Connors again. I've had Paul Malin messaging me. Oh, it's like the old days, Rob. I've got Stixx on. You're planting this seed. Like, I'll be back into this. It's going to happen, isn't it?
Be like the Godfather. Just when you think you're out.
It's like the mafia, isn't it? Like, you're never out. You just have a little break.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean,
actually, there was another question just to answer quickly about the school.
Yeah.
What do I look for in a student?
Yes.
To be honest, it isn't talent. Okay. Because a lot of people have talent, You know, a lot of people have potential. All right.
Mm-hmm.
There's even been some people at the school who have gone on to shows, okay, that still have that potential. Okay. I look for people who just really are willing to put the time in, you know, because this is, to a lot of people, this is a hobby, you know, it's a hobby until it becomes something more than a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't take your hobbies seriously. Okay. There's a difference to me, okay, likening it to music again. There's a difference to me than playing guitar in your own bedroom,
Yeah.
okay, and performing on stage with a band, okay, because both could be considered your hobby, all right, until it becomes not your hobby and it becomes your work, you know, and you only get better at being in a band by practicing with that band, okay, but also in your own time, still practicing that guitar in your bedroom, okay. A lot of wrestlers, okay, they'll come to wrestling school, okay, which is the equivalent of practicing the guitar in your bedroom, okay, and then they'll start to get on shows, which is the equivalent of, you know, playing these gigs with your band, and then they'll forget that they still have to practice away from the gigs, you know.
Yeah.
They'll think, oh well, I'm doing shows now, so I don't have to train, okay, and that is the absolute wrong way to think about it, okay, because yes, you will be getting better, okay, when you're on shows, but you have to be prepared for those shows, and that comes from the time you put in away from the shows, okay. Bring up two cases, okay. Female wrestler kanji, okay, the Asian sensation, okay, before she broke her arm, okay, months ago now, she was, you know, she was being scouted by the WWE. You know, she was the women's champion for quite a few companies around this country, okay. I remember the day I moved her from beginner's class to the intermediate class, okay, at the school. She could not believe it, okay. She had so little kind of self-confidence, okay, that she was getting better, that she was absolutely stunned, okay. And now look at her, you know. But even when she was winning all of these titles and everyone was looking at her going, oh my God, you're amazing, okay, she was still down the school, okay, practicing and perfecting her skills, okay. But not just that, she was in the gym getting in better shape, okay. We might be doing this as a hobby, but it is professional wrestling, okay. And the problem is now, I think a lot of people have forgotten the professional part, okay. They just think, well, I'm a wrestler, and that's it, you know. They forget that as a professional, you should take pride in what you are producing, okay. And from wrestling, that comes from, you know, how hard you work, how you look, okay, how much you've got in your gas tank, okay, like your cardio, okay. You should be taking stuff like this seriously, okay, especially if you want other people to take you seriously, right, hobby or not, because if you don't, that hobby will never become anything more than a hobby, okay. I have a trainee at the moment, okay, at the school called George. He's a big Greek lad, okay. He's like 6'2", okay. He must weigh, or when he first started at the school, I think he must have come in probably about, you know, between 350 and 400 pounds, okay. Like, he's a big guy, okay. And of course, at that size, you can't do certain things, okay. You see all these people flipping around and climbing to the top rope and throwing each other around like it's nothing, okay. To someone that size, he obviously couldn't do a lot of things, but he did not quit, okay. we were doing the warm-ups and he gets tired first, okay, but he would not stop, okay, he would not use it as an excuse. Wow. You know, I think up till now he's lost about 4 stone in weight. Don't get me wrong, still a big guy, okay, but he's kind of looking more like Umaga, you know, like those big heavy set Samoans, okay, who just look intimidating, okay, but it's that kind of heart, you know. He's in the gym, okay, 3-4 times a week at the school. He's training 2-3 times a week at the school, okay. You can't teach that, you know. That is something that's in you because you want to be successful at what you've chosen to try and be successful at, okay. I can teach you how to wrestle. I can teach you how to work out. I can't make you do either, you know. And it's that kind of thing that I look for in students, okay. Essentially, the word is, the 2 words that come to mind are heart and respect, okay. Respect for what we do, and the heart to actually do it, you know, and go through with it. That's why I'll never give up on anyone, okay. A lot of people have said I'm probably the most patient teacher they've ever worked with, okay. I've taken students with 2 left feet, okay, that had no coordination whatsoever, and everyone just kind of wrote them off like, oh God, he's never gonna get anywhere. And you know, they made it to being on shows in front of live crowds, okay, because for all the years I've been teaching, I've worked out how to teach certain people, okay, because not everyone's going to be the same, okay. You just have to come at them from the right angle so that they get it, they understand it, okay. But none of that is possible if you're not willing to put the time in, you know. It's the things you can't teach that a lot of the time make you a wrestler.
We hear a lot of that because obviously, you know, that with Superstar Speakers we work with a lot of the Manchester United legends in the class of 92, and they say that the difference between those that made it in the class of 92 and those that had the natural talent that didn't was the amount of work. Like, it's a running joke with them all, but like they say, Gary Neville would just practice harder, work that bit harder, and that's how he got in the England team. He wasn't the most talented, but he grafted and never gave up. And if you look at him now, he's a Sky Sports presenter. He's the driving force behind the Salford City takeover and all the. He invented the brand. So it's nice to see that 2 like polar opposite sports have the same crux in the middle. That actually it's work hard, get where you want from that.
Yeah, I would honestly take hard work over natural talent any day. You know, because naturally talented people always end up being the ones with the egos, okay, because they haven't had to work for it as much as, you know, the other people, you know. And don't get me wrong, you know, there's some naturally talented people that come into wrestling that don't end up with an ego and do very well, you know. I mean, look at someone like Kurt Angle, okay. Like, he was probably the most naturally talented ever, you know, and apparently he was one of the most humble as well, you know. But yeah, nothing can substitute, not just wrestling, but nothing can substitute hard work, okay. It's like if you're in the gym, okay, you can follow any diet or health plan that you want, okay, to lose weight or put muscle on, but nothing will substitute you just getting in the gym and working hard. You know, I think nowadays everyone's looking for a quick fix, like a fast track route to get somewhere. And you know, they don't want to put the grind in, you know. And it's become like a thing on social media, wrestlers, okay. You know, the grind continues, okay, like carry on with the grind, okay. But it's something we're proud of, okay, because we're passionate about what we do. We don't mind the grind. We want the grind, okay. The grind is what molds us into something better, okay. If the grind makes you go, okay, then stop. Okay, because it ain't going to get any easier.
No.
You know, you live on the road, you know, for Pete's sake. You live on the road, sometimes out of a suitcase. You know, you've got to get your gym session in 20 minutes because that's all time you've got. Okay, you're in a different city, you know, all the time. You know, you got to get thrown around, you know, and then you've got to live with the soreness the next day. Okay, and then go and do it again. All right. It's probably it's not an easy life. And if you don't have enough passion to put the hard work in where it's needed, then why are you in this life? You know what I mean?
And it's long days as well, isn't it? It is a full-on lifestyle.
It is. I think some people, especially with the rise of social media, I think some people want to be social media stars. You know, it's like, oh, look, I'm a wrestler. Okay, this is my last match. All right. But I kind of liken that to reality TV stars. Okay, like they go on this program, they get famous for nothing. They are literally just being themselves, and now they're famous. You know.
Yeah.
Remember the days where you actually had to be really good at something to be famous. You know, like you had to be really good at you know, at acting or a sport or something. Okay, to make you famous. Now you can just be famous for being you. Okay, and it's kind of weird in that sense, but you know, that's the rise of social media. But not, like I said, nothing will ever substitute hard work. You know.
So just to like, you may have answered this already, but just to like put an extra layer onto it, for someone who is looking to become a wrestler, what are the benefits of going to a good and recognized training school as opposed to just potentially the closest one? Because for someone, to the layman, they may not know the difference. What could they be looking for, and what are the benefits of that?
Well, I think it's not as bad as it was a few years ago. A few years ago, you had a lot of what we call Mickey Mouse wrestling schools kind of popping up. And a lot of the time, like, I actually feel really bad for the students because, I mean, say I was the teacher and you were a wrestling student, okay, you're a big wrestling fan, and you walk into the wrestling school, okay, as a student, I could literally tell you anything I wanted to, okay, as the teacher, and you would have absolutely no reason to doubt me, okay? So if I said to you, oh yeah, I trained Sami Zayn, okay, I wrestled The Rock, you know, once, you know, I was, you know, 5-time British heavyweight champion, okay, like as a new wrestling student, like who would you be to say, no, you weren't, no, you haven't, okay? You would just believe, okay?
Yeah.
And you'd think, oh my God, I'm being trained by someone who, you know, wrestled The Rock and trained Sami Zayn, right? And then 2 years later, when you get more down the road, that's when you realize that everything that they were saying was a lie, okay? And everything that they've been teaching you, or a lot of what they've been teaching you, was wrong because they don't actually know how to do it themselves, okay? And I always felt bad for students like that because they just wasted 2 years, you know, and all they had to do was just do a little bit of research before they turned up to the wrestling school and find one that might be a little further away, okay? But if you're not willing to travel a little bit, okay, for something that you say you love, then you might as well stop now, okay? Because there's going to be a lot more traveling where that came from, okay? Yeah, and you know, you get the right school, okay? You should be able to research the teacher, okay, for one. You should be able to research the people that have been produced by the school, okay, and what they produce every month, you know, as a school, you know. I always do the open days, you know, every like 6 to 8 weeks for new students, and that's like a trial session, a tester session. So you can come, you can see the facilities, you can meet the people that you're going to be training with, and then you can make a decision whether you want to carry on or not, okay? And I always say to them after, look, if you didn't enjoy today, no hard feelings, okay? There's a big difference between being a wrestling fan and actually being a wrestler, okay? if you don't ever come back, I'm not going to see you in town and chase you down the street. Okay, demanding like, why didn't you come back? You know, it's complete. It's a self choice. It's a lot to put yourself through. Okay, so I'm not going to insist or demand that anyone do it. Okay, not that I have the power to anyway. But if you do it, okay, not only will you get the the physical benefits, okay, because it is exercise, okay. Some people don't like going to the gym, okay.
Then they can become ring announcers.
I'll remember that when I start working out.
Yeah.
Some people don't like going to the gym mainly because either they feel really bad when they're there because they don't know what they're doing, okay, or maybe they suffer from a bit of a confidence issue to go into that kind of environment. So by doing this, okay, they're getting exercise by doing something that they enjoy, okay. But not only that, wrestling is a very niche thing, okay. I always say on the open days, okay, how many of you have other friends that also like wrestling? Okay, how many of your friends can you go to and say, oh my God, did you see what happened on Raw? Okay, or did you watch WrestleMania last night? Okay, most of their friends go, what are you talking about? Oh, that wrestling stuff. Oh yeah, I'm not interested in that. Okay, yet suddenly you walk into a wrestling school and you're surrounded by people who are just like you. Okay, who watch it as much as you do, who are interested as much as you are. And so from a social point of view, okay, those are the real benefits. Okay, one of my favorite things as being a teacher is seeing a guy or a girl walk in, a bundle of nerves, okay, really shy, really like lacking in self-belief, okay, and then seeing them maybe a year later, year and a half for some people, walking out in full costume in front of a live crowd, okay, because they have, completed everything, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an amazing feeling, okay. It's a feel-good story. It's essentially, it's like a film, it's like Rocky, all right. That person who didn't believe that they could do it, okay, and then you go in and it might not be a championship match, okay, but it's everything you've ever dreamed of, okay. If you ever wanted to be a wrestler, it's wrestling in front of a live crowd, okay. And from being really unconfident and not even being able to talk to these 4 people at a wrestling school, okay, to going out in front of a couple of hundred and actually being a wrestler, okay, it's the kind of stuff that you could write a movie about, and some of my favorite films are those kind of films, and I might have subconsciously got some of the motivating techniques from things like that, like Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington, okay, like Denzel Washington's fantastic in that, okay. Coach Carter with Samuel Jackson, okay, all these coaches that take these teams or these individuals that don't really believe in themselves and make them believe, okay, make them kind of fulfill their potential, okay. That's what I love doing. I really do. It makes me feel good, and the families, especially if they're young students, like the parents, I love that when the parents walk in and they say, I don't know what it is you're doing with them here, but it's really working, okay. Because he's more confident at school, his grades are going up, his teachers are commenting on how much more they're focused, okay. And then from the flip side, someone who maybe has been sitting down doing a job for like 10 years, filling themselves with junk food, okay, who's a wrestling fan but never ever thought they could ever be one, okay, taking someone like that and saying, no, you could be a wrestler, you've just got to think of it like this, okay. and chipping away at them and kind of molding them, okay, and letting them see that it doesn't just take one type of person to be a wrestler, okay. At the end of the day, it's the entertainment industry, okay. As long as you can entertain a crowd, you know, you could potentially be a wrestler, you know, whether that be stylistically or from personality, you know. It takes in so many different mediums. You don't have to be a super athlete, okay, to do it. Don't get me wrong. You know, the more serious you want to take it, the more serious an athlete you've probably got to be, okay. But at the grassroots level, okay, which is for some people all they want, okay. You don't have to be The Rock. You don't have to be John Cena. You don't have to be Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, okay. You just get, you know, a lot of the time you can just be yourself, you know, and still have that moment in the spotlight.
That's so inspirational, Stixx. So effectively, it is, man. And there'll be people watching this who are just thinking that's the answer. That's a solution. That's the way for. So if someone does want to come to an open day, we've been putting the social media links up on the screen, and I'll continue to do it. But by all means, Stixx, they can just follow you, send you a message on Facebook, and it's all there. There you go. You see?
Yeah, all the messages come through to me. I believe there's no such thing as a stupid question.
You've only ever been interviewed by me once before, though.
Well, okay. My idea of a stupid question is a question you have to ask again and again and again. Okay.
Okay.
It means you're not listening to the answer until you get the answer that you actually want. You know? But yeah, I think a lot of that comes from, you know, my self-belief as a teacher. Okay, because I don't give up on anyone. You know, I find a way for them to be what they want to be. Okay, as long as they are willing to put the time in. Okay, because I'm not doing it all by myself. You know, you meet me halfway, okay, and we'll make it work.
That's right? Incredible.
And I will always call you out when you are not meeting me halfway. You know, but I won't do it in a shouting, make you feel bad way. Okay, I will just sit you down and make you see that, you know, you told me this is what you want, and you're not going to get what you want unless you start doing this. Okay, I don't think shouting ever gets through to people. You know, some people are motivated by shouting, sure, but I think just making them see that they can achieve what they want to achieve, but they have to put a bit more time in, okay? Or they have to concentrate a bit more on this, okay? I always think that works way more.
Has there ever been someone walk through the doors of the school then that you thought, this is going to be quite a lot of hard work to get them to this point, but then you do it and you're just brimming with pride? Is there one like story of some person that really like took their time to get there, but then made it?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, more recently, there was okay, two examples here. Okay, you know one of them. Okay, Mr. Robert Sharp.
Hey,
okay? Everyone knows him as Sharpie. Now, when he first started, okay, he was so eager, okay, and that's always been the thing that's made him stand out, okay, is his energy, okay. Yeah. But no matter how many times you told him, he just wouldn't slow down, okay. He wanted to rush, okay. He'd down like 5 coffees and 5 energy drinks. Okay, like before a training session, you know, try telling someone who's on all that to slow down, you know. But after about a year of training, okay, he was set to make his debut, and this was at the end of 2013. Okay, and then he tore his ACL, okay, in his leg. So I sat him down and I said, look, whilst you're recovering, you've got a mouth on you. Okay, you could talk for England, and anyone who knows him knows that he can talk for England. Okay, so why don't you do a non-wrestling role? Okay, why don't you be a manager? Okay, just whilst your knee's healing. Okay, also maybe try and be a referee. Okay, whilst your knee's healing. Okay, so through most of 2013, he was doing refereeing on some of the shows that I was performing on, and he was doing a manager role on the shows that I was in charge of. And again, he was getting set to have his first match around like August time. Then, in a strange twist of fate, he had to have his appendix out. Right, so that set him back another 3 or 4 months. Okay, whilst he was recovering from that. Okay, getting over that hurdle. Finally, at the end of 2014, 2 years after he walked in the door, okay, he made his debut. Okay, and everyone was so joyous. You know, they had finally happened. Okay, because normally in something like wrestling, it's all fun and games until you get hurt. And then you realize how dangerous it actually is and how hurt you could get. So a lot of the time when you're training to be a wrestler, it's normally the first injury is where you don't see them anymore. You know, because it suddenly hits them. It could actually be painful. Okay, or more painful than it is anyway, you know, with all the landings and stuff. Whereas he overcame 2 surgeries, okay, to get to where he wanted to be. And that right there, if anyone ever says anything negative about Rob, okay, I will bring up that story, because that's a person who really wants it. Okay, they did not give up through thick and thin. And he's actually doing really well for himself now. You know, he went over to China, he's been to Hong Kong. Okay, he's wrestling for, you know, a lot of some of the bigger promotions in this country, and I think it's great. You know, and then the other story that this pair of twins came into the school a couple of years ago. Okay, now they're I don't want to say slightly on the older side, because it's not like they're 60 or anything like that, but you got to remember that a lot of students start when they're like 16, 17. Okay? So these guys come in, they're identical twins. Okay.
Are these the lads that do elevation now?
No, funny enough, it's a different pair of identical twins. Yeah, they're identical twins. And they must have been in like late 30s, you know, late 30s, maybe even around 40. Okay. And one of them came with his 2 kids. Okay. So his 2 kids were so nervous, okay, that obviously they wouldn't work with anyone other than those 2. Okay. So you got a grown man wrestling a kid. Okay. They're not going to improve, okay, that quickly. Okay. And then when they would wrestle with anyone more their size and age, they would just rush. Okay. Like all the way through. Okay. And because they were rushing, their coordination was so bad. Okay. It took them 2 years. Okay. But at the end of last year, they debuted as a team. Okay. And everyone at the school was so happy that they debuted, because they're just so full of energy and full of life. Okay. And it was, again, you know, if you're 16, 17 years old and your dream is to become a wrestler, okay, then that dream has only been alive for, you know, 3 or 4 years probably. If you are 40 and your dream is to be a wrestler, okay, that is like a 20-year dream coming to fruition. Okay, that's 20 years, you know, of imagining that moment where you come through the curtain and the crowd erupts. You know what I mean? And the look on their faces, the smile on their faces when they came out and they heard the crowd, okay, just literally everyone, like me and everyone else who was attached to the school, could not stop smiling. Okay,
that's great.
And it's those kind of people is what I say by I'll always take hard work over natural talent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, to be honest with you, the lads, those two chaps are actually watching it. Is it
Brothers Kevin Neal? Kevin Neal,
I've been watching all the way through.
There you go, Kevin Neal. I put you over.
Earlier on, actually, Kevin did message, and I didn't say anything, but he said, "Awesome to hear from the boss, Stixx. I'm one of the many who's worked very hard through the House of Pain for 2 years since the day before Christmas, turning a boyhood dream into reality, and he's 40 now." So just to put a final point on that's what you're doing to grown old men.
See, how amazing is that? I just told a story, and then someone else just told the story exactly the same way. Okay.
On that subject, I'm going to tell you a story because you talked about Rob Sharp, and it's just reminded me of something. When I remember him coming to me, because when he was refereeing and doing a bit of backstage with me, he asked me to help him do some commentary. So he came on commentary with me, and like I said, he could talk and talk and talk and talk. And I always, when I had a new commentary partner, I always used to make sure the first match I wouldn't let them get a word in edgeways. I would just rattle off. And I remember him looking at me just in pure, because you could see him trying to get his moment in, and I thought it was the hardest I ever did.
What are you doing, Rob?
Honestly, it was a proper old school, like, horrible thing to do to someone, but I would just like power and do it all on my own, like a Joey Styles ECW.
It's probably because you're so used to doing it as well. You know.
Well, it was kind of one of them little moments of just like, right, here we go, I'm gonna have some fun with you, but then get on with it and do the proper thing.
I tell you what, Rob, I haven't done that much commentary in the past. No. Since we've been on lockdown, or since, like, in the days leading up to lockdown, at the House of Pain school, we realized that we wouldn't be able to do live shows for a while. So we quickly jumped into the school and filmed essentially 11 weeks worth of a YouTube TV show.
Cool.
Okay. Because we have the environment, we have the equipment. Okay. We've got G-Man in Nottingham, who's the best editor in wrestling as far as I'm concerned. So we filmed these episodes, and we put them out every week at 7:30 on a Tuesday, basically in place of the shows that we would normally run. And we've attached the GoFundMe page, okay, to each one. And we were hoping that by saying, look, we can't come out and perform in front of you right now, but we are still giving you something to watch. Okay. So if you feel that you can still kind of send the money that you would pay to get into our shows, okay, to help us out, you know, in these times, okay, then that would be awesome, you know. And a lot of people have, you know, they enjoy the show so much, you know, that, and now they're sending, you know, comments through about how much they enjoy the YouTube shows and stuff like that. The only problem was this past Tuesday, we put out episode 11.
Oh.
So, so as far as the pre-lockdown episodes, we've actually got none left. So all the students, or a lot of the students, have these online talents, you know, of like editing and things like that. And, you know, what we're doing now, like these live interviews, we were like, we could create a TV show.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the last few weeks, we've been mapping it out. Okay. And hopefully this Tuesday, but if not, we'll take a week off and then come back in 2 weeks. But it's going to be a whole new, brand new House of Pain TV show. Okay. That's going out 7:30 every Tuesday on YouTube. Okay. On the YouTube channel. And I'm actually really excited to see how it turns out. But on those episodes, I'm doing all the commentary.
Amazing.
Okay? So I was doing live commentary on these matches at the school, and I did not realize how hard commentating was. All right. Seriously. Like, I mean, I think we shot in 2 days, we put together about 15 matches. Okay. And obviously all the introductions to the episodes and all the outros and all the introductions to bits in between the matches and stuff like that. And I always had someone with me. Okay. Tony Allen did the first day. Okay. So the first 6 episodes, or the first 8 episodes were Tony Allen. No, 6 episodes. And then for the remaining 5, I had a different person with me every week. Okay. And strangely enough, one of the really talented new guys at the school, a lad named Declan, who does a vegan character, but a really crazy, in-your-face vegan, type character. It actually turns out that he's really good on the microphone. Okay, so he did some commentary with me. And he's discovered that now. Okay. So as far as we're concerned, he's become what's known in the business as a promo guy, who can go out there and be confident on the microphone. Okay. Because not everyone is. I'd actually say there's way more people that aren't than actually are. Okay. When it comes to talking on the microphone in front of a live crowd. Yeah. But yeah, I had to do commentary for all those matches. And halfway through, I'm just like, my God, how do people do this like every week? All right. It's so hard just to come up with fresh things to say. So yeah.
Imagine what that was like on a Southside Weekender. And you had about 48 matches in 2 days.
Yeah. And you're doing the introductions as well.
Oh, mate.
All new appreciation from me, Rob. Right. Seriously.
The thing is, it's one of them strange things, isn't it? It's like, wrestling is the sum of all parts. Some people can talk on a microphone. Some people can commentate on a match. Some people can wrestle a match. Some people can sell tickets. It's just that's what wrestling is all about.
Well, that's where G-Man, Chris Garrett, comes in.
Yeah,
because he really is a jack of all trades. Okay, he can wrestle, he can ring announce, he can edit, he can film, he can commentate. He's absolutely insane, right? He's crazy in a good way, but he can really do anything, And the fact that he's living in Nottingham, he's actually a really helpful thing. That he's like a friend of mine, a friend of the school, a friend of a lot of people that go to the school, because he's so local. He can help us out on anything that we need help with. When it comes to the wrestling side of things, even massages. It's not common. It's not uncommon. Sorry, that he will bring his massage table to a wrestling show and iron out any kinks that the wrestlers have in their back. Before their match. Okay, he really is a jack of all trades.
Yeah, he is. I was saying to you, I introduced him to the boxing and MMA crowd, and you can just imagine what they were, these big serious fighters, when you got G-Man just strutting around like a peacock.
Yeah. My favorite memory of G-Man is when we lost our original venue, our Arnold venue in Nottingham, because the place closed down. Mm-hmm. We went on a little trip around Nottingham to check out some new venues, and it was me, G-Man, and I had my daughter Beth with us. And this would have been like 5 years ago, so she would have been 1. So I was probably carrying her the whole time. And a place we do shows at now in Calverton, it's quite out in the Stixx in Nottingham. Okay, its own little community. And we walked into the working men's club, and those old saloon scenes in films in like Wild West,
like American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, exactly. Like where someone's playing the piano and everyone just stops, and all the locals kind of turn to look at you like, "Who are you?" Right? And we're just stood in the doorway. I'm holding this baby, and G-Man's standing next to us, and everyone's staring at us. And he just goes, "Yeah, we're not from around here." Like no hesitation whatsoever. And we ended up getting the venue. But just like the look I gave him was just like,
you must have looked like a married couple.
Yeah, like Do not start any trouble.
Stixx, we've been going for an hour and a half already, my friend.
That's not uncommon when it comes to me. Like,
no, that's usually on Stixx time.
You get me talking, and especially about wrestling.
Yeah, man, I'll talk all night. There's no problem at all. I do want to ask you though, like, what your biggest achievement in wrestling is, because I'm very interested to see, is it a personal achievement or is it a student who has surpassed what you thought they could do?
I think, to me, they come from two different places, you know, because one's from a performer point of view and one's from a teacher point of view, and they are kind of separate, because a lot of wrestlers start schools after they stop performing because they still want to be around wrestling and they feel like they've got a lot to offer, but they can't wrestle anymore for whatever reason, so they start at school. Whereas I guess I'm kind of, rare in the sense of I'm still performing. Maybe not as rare nowadays, but definitely back in the day. I think as a teacher, it's just the success of the school. It's very well regarded. When people like Joe Connors have made it to NXT, and Paul Malin now runs his own wrestling school under the Aspire banner. Gabriel Kids over in Japan. We mentioned Robert Sharp going to Hong Kong and China. Mentioned Kanji, being scouted by WWE and being essentially the hottest female act in British wrestling at one point. People like Visage, who have such a insane following, in wrestling because of his uniqueness. To guys like Carl Kingsley, who, is getting out and about, all over the place and really working for it. To well-respected guys like LJ Heron, Danny Chase, Diamond Dave Andrews. These people are known for, their hard work, and being well-respected performers, even though they might not have got to where I personally think they should have reached to, but that's a whole nother conversation. Well,
it's some as well. There is a certain amount of luck of the draw as well, isn't there? Like there is a certain amount of opportunity in what comes around at the right time.
It is. I think a lot of the problem comes from the fact that promoters are always looking for like the new hot act,
Yeah.
And they're not looking back and saying, okay, who's really good that didn't get a chance?